Hi, my name is Matthew Bellisario. Welcome to another edition of the Bellisario Sonic YouTube channel. Today, a review of the beautiful album by Hilary Hahn called Paris. Now, if you watched my last video, it was a classical vinyl tag, which I think I'm the only person that's done it so far. So I hope that y'all will pass this on to some other people in the vinyl community, because I'd love to see what other people have in their classical vinyl collection. Now, this particular album came out just a few months ago. It's a Deutsche Grammophon pressing, 45 RPM. Sound quality is absolutely phenomenal. It's a beautiful record. One of the things I really like about this album is it introduces me to three composers that I'm not familiar with. And so, in classical music, a lot of us are familiar with the popular composers like Beethoven and Bach and Handel and Vivaldi and the big composers that we hear about. But there's so many other ones that are more obscure, and especially in the modern period. And while a lot of the modern classical music sounds tough for me to get into, some of it, because a lot of these modern composers have gone into this serial movement where they kind of are mathematically trying to compose pieces. But these particular three composers on here, at least the pieces on this album, are absolutely beautiful. And I would say that the very first composer on here, Sergei Prokofiev, whom I've heard of but never heard any of his compositions. This first composition on here, Concerto for Violin and Orchestra No. 1 in D major, is absolutely stunning. And there's two albums in here. So the first LP contains just that particular concerto by Prokofiev, and it's absolutely a roller coaster ride. And if you're into hearing wonderful violin playing, and we're talking about the expertise that you need to possess to play this particular piece, is pretty phenomenal. And Hilary is just on top of her game here. It's absolutely beautiful to listen to and stunning to listen to, because when you hear these violin solos, and they're really stunning. LP2 contains a composition of Ernest Chazon, and I am not familiar with him either. Now, just to give you an idea of the periods of these particular composers, Prokofiev lived between 1891 and 1953, so a very modern composer, Russian composer. Ernest Chazon, 1855 to 1899, so a fairly recent composer. And the last one is an interesting composer that I've never heard of, called Rautavaara, who lived between 1928 and 2016. And he wrote two serenades specifically for Hilary Hahn before he passed away. And I guess it was kind of a surprise that he had actually written these and left them, and they only found them or knew of them after he had passed away. So it's a very beautiful piece, and there's two serenades here from him, and it's on the side B of the second LP. And the second composition apparently wasn't completely finished. So one of his students finished the rest of the composition, although all the violin parts, I think, were already written for the whole thing. So I'm really excited about this, because one thing I like about what Hilary does is in her releases, they're not always the most popular composers that you've heard of, and it introduces you to some beautiful compositions that you would never have heard of otherwise. And again, this Rautavaara piece is written specifically for her, so this is the first time you're going to hear that particular piece is on this record album, so that's pretty cool. The Chazon piece is also a very beautiful piece, a little bit different than the other two. I'm really drawn to the first one, the first LP, in which both sides are that Sergei Prokofiev piece. And I'll just say that it's a roller coaster ride. If you're into classical music and you're into beautiful violin playing, and just the composition is very emotional. It takes you on a journey, listening to both sides of the record. Again, one piece, and I can't recommend it enough. Now, the pressing, nice pressing, You have a gatefold cover here. Nice pictures of Hilary. It does come with 2 nice inner sleeves, so you don't have to worry about messing your records up. You can store them in these sleeves, or you can use the MoFi sleeves like I always do. I just like to do that when I spend $30 on a record. But really nice pictures here of Hilary. And on the inside, or on the opposite side of the record sleeve, you've got an explanation of the album and all the information there. And on the opposite side of this one, it's the same thing in German, I think. My language recognition's correct. But a really nice pressing and some beautiful music, and music that you're not going to hear anyplace else for the most part, because these are pretty rare pieces to hear today put on record. And again, if you look at these, they're nice 180 gram flat records, really nice pressing. So I can't recommend this album enough. You can go on YouTube. I put a link to a couple of her videos on some of these pieces, so that you can learn more about this particular record and go out and purchase it. And you can hear just how beautiful this record is. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Very clean pressing, 45 RPM. Hilary Hahn, Paris. That's my just mini record review here. Go and check it out on YouTube, and then go to your record store or online and pick it up, because a lot of times these classical records like hers, they don't last very long. You can find them. They press enough of them where you can get them for probably 3 to 6 months, maybe a year sometimes. But after that, they're gone, and when they're gone, they're really hard to find, and they get expensive. So if you're interested in picking this up, now's the time to go grab it. All right, that's my vinyl record review of Hilary Hahn's Paris. Beautiful record. Can't recommend it enough. And we'll talk to you next time on another episode.